Don't you feel a little more at peace now? Meditation is said to help you manage stress levels and emotional well-being, and I don't know about you, but I do feel a lot calmer now. Carrying the theme of breaking free from personal barriers, our last workshop for the day is about turning our ugly friend, ugly friend, I'm talking about imposter syndrome, and how to turn this ugly friend into personal confidence. This will be shared by international speaker, executive coach, and social justice advocate, Veronica King. You're up, Veronica.
Thank you. Thank you very much indeed. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, Trailblazers. It's absolutely amazing to be here today. So I'm going to be speaking about how am I my own hype woman. So what I'm going to be sharing with you in the time I have with you this afternoon, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story, myself, and who am I, as we heard in the workshop before. And what is a hype woman? The term is normally used as a hype man, but obviously, being Women's Month and she owns her success, is what is a hype woman. I will also share when do I need to be my own hype woman. And then finally, I will take you through the practical steps and tools that I've been asked to share with you. So please do have a pen and a pad or a journal or a book with you, because I'd love to leave you with some practical tools. So a little bit about me. I grew up in Durban. I grew up before 94, which we know was the apartheid regime, and my first job was in the travel industry, believe it or not. So I'm going to date myself here. This was in the early 80s, and I was fortunate enough to be hired in the travel industry, and that is when I first started feeling the shackles of this imposter syndrome, but what I now call my imposter monster. So after being in the travel industry, I spent 10 years in the travel industry, and I have to tell you, it was quite, I grew so much, but most importantly, what I realized for my safety and for access and to keep my job, I had to assimilate. What does that mean? I couldn't be as authentic as I am now, because I was in an industry where I was not represented, and that's why I know representation matters. So the assimilation was me fitting in, going along, to get along, to belong, and what I wasn't aware was happening was I was self-rejecting. I was self-rejecting my authenticity, and that's why I speak the way I do today, because I had to learn to speak really clearly. In those days, there were only white people in the travel industry, and I really had to work very, very hard to show up in a particular way. So I was straightening my hair in those days, wanting to look as close to whiteness as possible. So you can imagine the imposter syndrome came to work with me every day. Am I good enough? Am I going to do this? Am I a fraud? Are they going to catch me out and send me flying out the door? I then went into banking, and I then started doing a bit of TV presenting, which was great, but the imposter monster, I'd be fighting it off every day when I was on set, and I have to say, I had a little bit of that coming here today. So I then moved to Johannesburg, as one does when you've grown up in Durban, coming to the city with the big lights. And I worked in the advertising industry, which was amazing. It was stressful, but I loved the creative energy. And I was fortunate enough to work on the Virgin Atlantic account as an account director. And I had had the travel experience from being in the travel industry. And after account directing the account for about a year, they headhunted me, and I went to work for them in London. Now, every time I'd had one of these opportunities come to me, I would think, oh, really, me? And that's when I started knowing and became familiar with this imposter syndrome, the imposter monsters coming to get me every time I had a bigger opportunity. So I worked and lived in London for about 10 years. And working for Virgin Atlantic was amazing. Because I was the internal communications manager, I had to interact with Richard Branson occasionally, because we know what a consummate PR man he is. And I was editing the internal magazine called The Globe at the time. So it was important that I knew what he was saying. Before it got into the media, the staff needed to know. And when I came home, I was really fortunate to be invited to the launch of the O magazine. And I'd met Oprah at that event. And at the time, I was part of the Brand South Africa team, and I was asked to present our project to Stedman Graham, who, as he would always say, used to hitch a ride in Oprah's jet coming to South Africa. And I presented the Brand South Africa project to him and what it stood for and the values of our wonderful country. And that was it. And a few months later, I had a business with Stedman Graham. He had written a book called You Can Make It Happen, which I had read. And in that conversation, when I presented to him, we spoke about that. And he had designed this training program on the You Can Make It Happen. It was called the 9 Steps to Success, I think. And I went to Chicago, and we struck a deal. We had 2 other business partners, and I started doing this work with Stedman Graham. And then I thought, actually, it's time for me to do my own thing. And I started my own company, Emutini Consulting. Emutini, it means tree because I love trees. Why am I sharing my story with you? Because every one of these opportunities, I used to freeze. When I got the call, Veronica, we'd love to let you know you've been successful in the process, I would say, thank you very much. And as soon as I put the phone down, I'd be shaking, thinking, really? They might have made a mistake. Then that's what that imposter monster does. You're a fraud. Can you do it? You're not good enough. Oh, really? So I used to have a dialogue with this imposter monster, and I'd be like, just back off. Of course I can do it. So this is where I started recognizing I need to be my own cheerleader. So we're going to move on. What is a hype woman? So the term hype man started normally when you're having a big show and a big concert, or I think with soccer you call it like the runners-up, but the hype men are normally those that come onto the stage and get the staff grooving before the main actor comes on. You have to cheer myself up, and I constantly learned how to do that, not to be beaten down and shackled by the imposter monster. So that's how I cheer myself on, and that's how I create the momentum that I need to pursue my dream life. So I'm going to speak to you, how do I do that? And when do I need, as I've mentioned already, when do I need to be my own hype woman, is when I'm feeling completely overtaken by the imposter syndrome. There are tools. So last week I watched the workshop series, and I loved what Ntokozo spoke about. She's got these 5 R's, I think, that helps her overcome her imposter syndrome. And for me, what I've recognized, what I need to do when I'm feeling that this doubt is increasing, I pause. I pause and I reflect. And what I do in that time of reflection, I meditate, I breathe. We had a lovely breathing exercise earlier on. I phahla. For those of you who know what phahla is, I communicate with my ancestors. I stand here alone today, but I come with thousands behind me. And I get their energy to start hyping me up. And sometimes I even start dancing, especially this new dance that goes like this. I love it. And like that. And that starts hyping me up. So The first step, after I've done my pausing and reflecting, I reconnect with my purpose. I reconnect with my passion, because it's my purpose that gets me out of bed every morning. And when I connect with that, I start feeling energized and I'm being hyped up. The next step, and you can start taking notes now, so these are 7 steps I'd like to share with you. So the first one, after my lovely meditation, partnering, breathing, getting centered, really wanting me to be clear of this amazing opportunity I've been presented. So I reconnect with my passion and my purpose, number 1. The second thing I do is visualize. We know how powerful visualization is. Some of us do vision boards, we create vision boards, but the power of that, we need to start being very clear on what does success look like for me. I've been made this amazing opportunity, I'm not taking it lightly. What is success going to look like? And that starts really getting me revved up. Having said that, there's obviously would be little moments of fear, but we also know that everything we want is on the other side of fear. And you can create whatever you want. I firmly believe that. Number 3, positive affirmations. The previous speaker spoke about the importance of reframing our negative, limiting beliefs. And I want to say that I've realized in hindsight, the wisdom of hindsight, because I'd internalized that success was reserved for certain people, especially when I was working in the travel industry. And I was assimilating, and I'd lost myself along the way. I have found myself, by the way. I'd like to think that's why I'm rocking my fro today. I realized that I had internalized what I had been observing, that success is only reserved for a select few, and that's what actually gives me more courage, and I become unapologetic of really challenging those stories that someone that looks like me cannot be successful. I then come to my values. Now, my values are so important, and why I use them to hype me up, because it's also important in my reflection, is that I need to be clear. Do my values align with the opportunity I've been presented? Because I don't want to just take the job for the sake of it. I want to show up so that I can be seen and heard and respected, and my values become my compass. And we know if we don't stand for anything, we fall for everything and anything and for anyone. So knowing your values are critically important. Number 5, talking about my internal capacity. What do I mean by that? It means that I need to have time and self-care to connect with myself inside, because I know when my internal capacity is strong and sturdy and grounded, I'd be able to navigate and deal with any external factors. And speaking about owning my success and hyping myself, I know that there are going to be obstacles along the way, but I need to see those as opportunities. Reframing obstacles to opportunities, and my anchor of my internal capacity enables me to do that. And then, one of the most important of the 7, they're all so important, but I like number 6. It's about my dream team. I have to consult with my dream team. And my main member of my dream team is my daughter, Amber. She is so honest, and I've got a group of lovely friends who have my back. I feel safe, I can be vulnerable, I can be insecure, and they hype me up. They're the ones that come and say, Veronica, look at what you've achieved. Look with whom you have worked. Where have you been? are you kidding me? You'd be amazing at this opportunity. And I do that because I also need that constant support. Some of us, part of our dream team, it could be our coach, it could be a mentor, it could be my mother. I miss my mother desperately. She was one of my main hype women, actually. So having a dream team is important, and then keeping your eye on the end goal. The seventh one is committing to your vision that you'd visualized earlier on and keeping your eye on the end goal. I call it, from a coaching perspective, horizon management. While I'm being fully present in what I'm doing, ensuring that I'm delivering and adding value, occasionally, constantly reminding myself, where am I going? Looking at the horizon. So these are the 7 steps. And I thought it would be good that we just do a little summary. Your passion, hype yourself up, knowing your passion, identifying your passion. And your passion is something that I realize, it's something that I do quite effortlessly, and it energizes me. And then and the results are fantastic. Then I know that I'm really close to something that's coming quite naturally. Visualization. Having watched the workshop last week, I was visualizing myself here today, and here I am. Hype, hype, hype. Affirm yourself. Positive affirmations are critical. Know your values. Stand for something. Internal capacity helps me navigate so that I know that I can definitely not see obstacles, but see opportunities instead. My dream team, my number 1 dream team, or my board of directors, my number 1 dream team member is my daughter Amber. And the final one is the horizon. Keep your eye on the goal. With the end in mind, it will keep us focused and keep us on track and keep us hyped as we continue. Thank you very much indeed for listening. I'm hoping that's been helpful, and I'm hoping you've taken loads of notes. But I'm sure if you'd like them again, I'm happy to be contacted via Momentum, and I can gladly share them with you again. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you so much for that incredible workshop, Veronica. Thanks to you, I am ready to add personal hype woman to my CV. Can you just show us your dance moves again? Okay, okay. Yes! Hi! Ooh! Okay, okay. Is that all you, or is that what your daughter is teaching you, Veronica?
A bit of both.
So, Veronica, thank you for sharing your incredible, incredible story. I mean, you are a child of apartheid, and you did not let that stop you at all. At what point did you know you were ready to be your own boss, though?
When I came back from London, I'd lived in London for 10 years, and it was very difficult in the first 2 years, but I stuck it out. And I recognized I've got the tenacity, I've got the resilience, and the experience that I'd got when working in London. I just thought, I'm definitely going to come home and share what I've learned with everyone else. And that's when I started doing coaching. Mm-hmm. And the reason I wanted to start with coaching is when I came home in the early 2000s, the implementation of BEE was happening. Mm-hmm. But black talent was sometimes being set up to fail. And me coaching, I studied coaching with the intention of supporting black talent, because when you are working in a context where there's no representation, there's a deep somatic, traumatic experience that you have that can shut down our thinking, which impacts our productivity and our performance. And what would the narrative be? Gave them a chance. Now look.
And like you said earlier, representation matters.
Absolutely.
And it's a phrase we hear so often, but I don't always think we understand the gravity, the weight that comes with it. You also mentioned your little imposter monster. Does that voice change as we become older? Does that voice quiet down? Or am I stuck with this monster for the rest of my life?
for me, I don't know generally, but for me, it's definitely getting quieter. Although it's getting quieter, depending on the enormity of the contract or the speaking engagement, it becomes slightly louder. And that's when I really have to get my hype woman on, because it's all about, it's contextual, right? And I think because of the experience, my confidence and my competence, that makes me feel a lot more comfortable. The voice is not that loud, but as I say, occasionally it's like booming.
Another big word you mentioned was assimilation. Assimilation. Does assimilation start to hurt?
Does it?
Does it start to hurt? Why did you stop? Because oftentimes when we assimilate, we are rewarded with success and promotion. So what made you think, actually, I have gone too far. I want to take a step back. I need to take a step back.
It started hurting very much so. I had dislocated myself from my community because of white proximity, because I was traveling overseas 3 or 4 times a year. None of my friends were doing that. I was traveling with white people. So at one stage, I had more white friends than I did friends of color or black friends. And I recognized the pain because pain can be normalized. I recognized the severity of the pain when 94 arrived. I suddenly had permission to take my garment of assimilation off and own my blackness, stop straightening my hair, knowing that, hey, this is cool, right? And that's when I recognized what I had been doing unconsciously was self-rejecting. That hurts. Self-rejection is trauma.
And again, so normalized. So normalized. Your afro, by the way, tens across the board, honey.
Thank you. I needed that. I want to get to your stage.
That is my next hairstyle. Just so by the way,
That's
Veronica.
my next hairstyle.
Do it. It is the most liberating thing you will experience.
I'll get there.
What is your message to your daughter? You clearly have such a special bond with her.
I do. That I really hope what she teaches me, she's teaching herself. She's been my best teacher, my harshest critic, but just really keeps me on track. And that's my message, is that if she can be as true to herself and have the strong sense of self that she has now, I will feel really comfortable when she leaves home, which might happen next year.
Thank you so much, Veronica. Thanks for that workshop. It really was incredible. We're about to take a lunch break, but while you stretch your legs, water your plants, and make some coffee and do what you need to do, I'll be giving away some prizes to our social media audience. Now let's see who's been engaging. Congratulations to Tsepo Ranko. That's at Tsepo Ranko, also at Checho_M. You've won yourselves a 1,000 Rand loot voucher. Please DM us to claim your prize. To the rest of you, keep tagging and sharing, and you could also be winners. Okay, let's go to makeup.
Hi, I'm Jo from MAC. So nothing says empowerment like a nice bold lip, but nothing says empowerment like Ruby Woo. It's a statement lipstick. It's something that you put on that gives you confidence. It's something that shows confidence. It's something that's fierce and sexy. So we're going to do a lovely bold red lip for Jade. So I'm going to use a little Ruby Woo. We've used a little lip primer before. Ruby Woo is a retro matte, so it's safe to wear with your masks. It won't smudge and end up all over your face. I think for the days that you just feel like you need a little something, a little lift me up, Ruby Woo is the perfect color for you. And you actually have the perfect lip for a red lipstick. And to finish it off, I'm going to use a little cherry lip liner. A lot of people always ask, like, when should you do the lip liner, before or after? I like to do it after. That way, we just finish off that perfect lip. And for everyone who's watching a lot of tutorials right now, you can even emphasize your lip, make it more bold. There we go. Fierce and sexy Ruby Woo from MAC.
My name is Sarah Kumalo, the first Black African woman to summit Everest and ski to the South Pole. I'm also a mother of 2 boys, my most important job. I'm an executive at Momentum, head of loyalty and rewards. My successes as a corporate leader started really when I was in an environment where my boss had resigned and everybody else was running around, and what I didn't realize, they were going to, talk for themselves, say they were capable of running the department, and which is fair, but I didn't realize that. And I got the courage after a friend told me what was going on. I walked into the CEO's office and I said, I think you should give me a shot. I'm now at Momentum, where I've been able to stay in corporate, but also do my charity work. Something that I'm passionate about. I climb mountains, I use it to raise money for education. I'm being supported by my colleagues as well as my company, and I'm able to still be a corporate leader, lead a team, make decisions that are actually making a difference. At the same time, be a mom that my kids need. I hope I'm doing that as well as they expect me, because I think my kids, they give me more gray hairs than mountains. I suppose every parent would say that. I think the reality is that we need to speak for ourselves. There is this concept of saying, let's wait for a seat at the table. No, you've got the seat at the table. Act like it, own it.
I grew up in the Eastern Cape. I'm a child of 2 police officers. I studied in the Eastern Cape at what was called the University of Transkei, and then after that I moved to Joburg. I went into advertising and PR, and then that led me into the financial services industry. My first attempt at entrepreneurship was fresh from the corporate. We started a business that we were really passionate about something that we really loved. What I've now learned is that having the right people that understand what you're trying to build and being aligned towards the same goal, and also resilience, building resilience in what you're doing, because curveballs will come. I'm also a philanthropist. I am part of a NPO that is named the Do Good Circle, that is focused on youth. We run projects around ICT, so we provide 4IR related skills to the youth in remote parts of the country. We also provide gender-based violence programs. We also provide programs around irresponsible consumption of alcohol by the youth. So we're really youth-centered, primarily focusing on youth and girls. Success to me means freedom, the freedom for me to do the things that bring me joy. It's the freedom to be able to sustain myself and be able to sustain others, and also be able to give back. For me, that is success.
My name is Ulisani Ravere. I am a broadcaster. I've been in the industry for 24 years, all my life. The way I found myself in front of a camera is a very interesting story. One thing I distinctly remember is that I had a fascination with the TV. Like, I thought that you could open, you remember back in the day we had those TVs that had the big round bum there at the back. And I used to think that you could open that and go inside and then you could be there. When it comes to barriers as a young woman in the entertainment industry, it is a journey. I've always been very confident, always been very outspoken, but I remember a time when there was a conversation on social media that essentially stripped me of every achievement I'd ever had in my career and as a woman, because now a man was no longer by my side. I started doing this thing for myself that said on the 1st of every month, I'm gonna put myself first and do something that I want to do for me, no matter what it is. Unstoppable success to me means 3 things, and it's the 3 things that I am grounded on. It's purpose, it's power, and it's impact. I believe all of us are here to discover our purpose, and purpose in everything that you do. And once you do that, you step into your power, and then you can just sit back and watch the impact. That, to me, is what it means to be unstoppable, because that is something that you can keep doing over and over and over again. You'll keep discovering a new purpose, keep stepping into a new power, and keep stepping back and watching the impact. And you will find not only joy in your success, but true fulfillment and meaning in your success.
The environments that you find yourself in do not define you. I'm open to being challenged, but I also want to absorb the world. My name is Charlotte Nsubuga Mukasa, and I am the head of the Momentum brand marketing team. My journey didn't start off so easy. A lot of people don't know that about me. I grew up during the time of a war where my mom used to run away from soldiers. 6 o'clock, you had to leave your house and you had to be with your kids living in the bush, so that if the soldiers came to your home, they didn't find anyone there. And I've gone on to maybe understand the world isn't perfect, but I appreciate my roots. My background is that I actually have a BSc degree, so I have a science background and I specialized in mathematical statistics and computer science. But along the way, I met a lot of brave leaders that saw a different path for me, and I was open to their intuition, I was open to their advice and their counsel. Leadership doesn't necessarily epitomize knowing everything, and that's also one of the reasons why I am fantastic at my job, is because of the people that are in and around me, who are senior, who are junior, who are always molding and shaping me. Success is about remembering the bad times as well, but success is also about not staying there, and I make sure that I pivot. Don't look to the naysayers. Practice your comebacks and then deliver them with grace.